Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a long time, I was not here, but it's feel like that I'm back home with my brothers. So Jazakumullah khairan for inviting us. Shaykh Rahman is has long introduction, but just briefly I will tell you that he's from Ghana. He did his schooling from Medina University, and he's been around all over the United States. He's a member of FIT Council of United States, and also he is the member of Shura of ICNA Islamic Circle of North America, and he lectures all over the United States as well as internationally. So it is my honor to ask him to come and speak to us, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Dear brothers all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
And it's my first time here in this masjid, not in LA or California. And the topic that we are going to be talking about is jinns and demons. I don't know how much experience you might have had with coming close to a jinn or a jinn coming close to you, or experience someone having effects of jinn on them. So this is it's a big issue, and it's an issue that has been one of those ghaibi, what we call metaphysical or unseen ghaib, when it comes to the details of jinn. And first and foremost, we understand that they are real. As Muslims, as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we come to the realization that they exist, and that the Quran and the Sunnah tells us about the existence of this creation of Allah called jinn. Both in the Quran and in the Sunnah that we are told about jinns, and that they are part of the creation of Allah. They are His slaves, just like human beings, and so they are accountable to Allah, and they are subject to His commands and His prohibitions. Whatever Allah commands them to do, they have to do just like human beings. And what He prohibits them from doing, they're supposed to be avoiding it, just like human beings. We have commands and prohibitions. And it is also noted that the world of jinn is the world of the unseen. And whatever we know about this unseen is not hearsay or people say or customs and culture. It is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us. Because if we go with hearsay and we go with movies, a lot is shown on the television, a lot is shown in movie, and those are for entertainment. Unfortunately, it gets people attention, but when it comes to the reality of jinn, we have to go back to our sources and interpret what we see around us from our sources. There is a purpose of their existence, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the jinn and the mankind except that they worship me alone. Now, what is the meaning of jinn? The word jinn itself. It's an Arabic word and it means something that is hidden from the sight. Okay? So when Allah tells us فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. The word here is Jannah. Jannah. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ. So when the night covered, that is Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and he is looking at the stars, and then he saw the night covering and the star coming out, and he said, "Oh, this is my Lord." But when the star disappeared, he said, "I do not love anything that disappeared. That can be God." So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was going through that phase, and the word is Jannah. Jannah. Falamma Jannah. This is not Jannah what we are, even the Jannah that we are talking about is also from that root word that no eyes has ever seen, and it's a garden. The creation of jinn. What are they created from? They are created from smokeless fire. And Allah told us in His book that jinns وَالْجَانَ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ. And the jinn we have created before time from smokeless flame of a fire. So they are created from fire. Now you want to know how one of the things that bother us, if they're created from fire, how they are going to be affected by fire. We are created from what? Clay. And if you take a piece of clay and throw it on us, it injures us. It can break our feet, it could bury us, it could harm us. So the question of whether the fire can harm them or not is out of question, as we know that even though you're created from that substance, Allah brings about the pain and what you can get from that same substance you're created with. In another ayah, Allah tells us, وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِن مَارِجٍ مِّن نَارٍ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And the jinns we created from smokeless flame of fire. And which of the bounties of your Lord will you deny? In a hadith related by Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet ﷺ said, خُلِقَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ مِن نُور, that the angels are created from light. وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِن مَارِجٍ مِّن نَارٍ, and the jinns are created from this smokeless fire. وَخَلَقَ آدَمَ مِمَّا وُصِفَ لَكُمْ, and Adam was created from what was described to you, that is, he is created from clay. And this hadith is in Sahih Muslim. And because they're hidden, they seem to make more chaos. They seem to make more chaos because you cannot see them. Okay? If you see somebody coming at you, and they have some thing that they can harm you with, you can either run, you can, do so many things because you see physically that person is coming to punch you. But for jinn, they are quite hidden from the sight, and that's why the meaning of jinn being something that you don't see. Although they can be seen, there are times when they show themselves, but generally they are from that hidden angle that they come to you. So Allah tells us, Ya Bani Adam, لا يفتننكم الشيطان كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة ينزع عنهما لباسهما ليريهما سوآتهما إنه يراكم هو وقبيله من حيث لا ترونهم إنا جعلنا شياطين أولياء للذين لا يؤمنون. O children of Adam, let not Satan tempt you as He removed your parents, meaning Adam and Eve, from paradise, stripping them of their clothing to show them their, their privacy. Indeed, He sees you, and He and His tribe where you cannot see them. So don't think that somebody has to come with a funny face and appear in front of you before this happens. And people tend to say, oh, I don't believe that these things exist. The Quran is telling us that they exist, and Quran is telling us that you cannot see them from the angle in which they are seeing you. Indeed, we have made the devils allies to those who do not believe. So they will come and they are enemies unto those who believe. Okay, لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Allah keeps telling us that this Iblis, who is the head of the jinn, is your open enemy. He's an avowed enemy. So watch out for those whisperings that they come to you. Now Allah addresses them as He addresses the human being. Why? Because they also have choice in doing or not to do. The angels don't have that choice. The sun and the moon and the stars and the creation, they don't have a choice to do or not to do. Okay? But man and jinn, they have choice. So when Allah tells us to do, some people by their choice they do it in obedience to Allah, and some people by their choice they disobey and they do not do. Okay? So jinns are like that. Jinns and man. Ya ma'shara al-jinni wal-ins alam ya'tikum rusulun minkum yaqussuna alaykum ayati wa yunzirunakum liqa'a yawmikum hadha qalu shahidna ala anfusina wa gharratuhum al-hayatu ad-dunya wa shahidu ala anfusihim annahum kanu kafirin. Allah will address the jinn and man on the day of judgment. O jinn, O company of jinn and mankind, did there not come to you messengers from among you? So it means that there is messenger among them, relating to you my verses and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours. So just as how we are told of the day of judgment, they have their own mechanism, and because we don't have all this information about them except what Allah is telling us, somehow we know they have some message given to them to warn you of the meeting of this day of yours. They will say, we bear witness against ourselves, and the worldly life has deluded them, and they will bear witness against themselves that they were disbelievers. Now, their existence is different from our existence. The world of jinn is an independent and separate world with its own distinct nature and features, and are hidden from the world of the human being. They do mix a little in this world, or let's say their existence has something to do with our existence in terms of space and time, but their world of jinn is a different world that we do not understand them as they understand us. It looks as if that they have more ability to see what we do than what we have ability to see what they are doing, and we only believe from the ghaib or the unseen realities Allah has mentioned to us about them. And so we do have some common things with the jinn, in that we possess this understanding, ability to understand, and we possess choice, whether we want to do or we don't want to. Now, there are different kinds of jinn. There is not one, just like we have different types of human being or different ethnic grouping or behavior among the human being, jinns have different among themselves too. So all jinns are not the same. Abu Thalaba al-Khushani radiallahu anh, he said, the Prophet said, Al-Jinnu ala thalathati asnaf. Jinn has three groups. Sinfun lahum ajniha yatiruna fil hawa. There is a group of them that fly through the air. Okay, they move through quickly. They don't need to check in with TSA and and security. They fly through. They don't need visa. Okay. Wasinfun hayatun wa kilab. There is a group of jinn that are in the shape of dogs and the shape of snakes. Now, it doesn't mean every dog and every snake is a jinn, but jinn can come in shape of dogs and snakes. Wasinfun yahilluna wa yathna'un. And a type that stops for rest, then resume their journey. Wherever they stop for rest. That's why you don't urinate under the tree or in a hole, in a ground and things like that, because they're places of rest. You can disturb them by doing things that will disturb them, then they come and they affect you.
Can we have interaction as well? Question or later?
Oh yeah. If you want to ask some questions now, but sometime it might come as we go along. So wait a little more and then we can take some questions. Every individual, now this is important, because some people become self-righteous. So I'm free from jinn can't affect me, and so forth and so on. So every individual among the son of Adam has a jinn who has been appointed to be his constant companion or qareeb. Alright? So when something happened and everybody suddenly becomes self-pious, jinn is also helping them to become self-pious. Ibn Masud radiallahu anhu, he said, the Prophet said, Ma minkum min ahadin illa wa qad wukila bihi qarinuhu min al-jinn. Prophet said, there is not any one of you except that he has a jinn appointed to be his constant companion. So all of us have a jinn companion. قَالُوا وَإِيَّاكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. So the companions, when they heard it, they said, even you, Ya Rasulullah, you have a jinn? He said, وَإِيَّايَ إِلَّا أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَعَانَ لِي عَلَيْهِ فَأَسْلَمَ فَلَا يَأْمُرِنِي إِلَّا بِخَيْرٍ. He said, even I have a jinn, except Allah has given me power and has helped me, so the jinn within me has surrendered and he cannot whisper anything except good. Interesting, right? And another hadith, the Prophet said, Inna shaytana yajri min ibn Adam majra dam. Shaitan runs into the body of the son of Adam the way your blood flows. That's why when people get all these mysterious pain and they don't know what to do, one of the things is to do the hijama that extracts some of the blood, that hopefully, and then you do some ruqyah on them and extract some of that bad blood, and hopefully that the person can get some relief by Allah's help. There's another hadith, yes.
No.
There's another hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ tells us, or rather Aisha, it's a hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, and she said, Ya Rasul, that night he went by her, and he was leaving her room to go to the other Ummahatul Mu'mineen, and she had this face and this looks of jealousy over her. So he said to her, oh Aisha, you have this look of jealousy. She said, how can a person like me not have that jealousy feeling for a person like you? In other words, I don't want you to go. And she said, your jinn has come to you. So she was surprised. She said, do I have a jinn? He said, all of you have a jinn on you. She said, even you, Ya Rasulallah? She said, even I, except that Allah has given me this ability to overpower it, so it has surrendered and it can only bring good to me. So Prophet ﷺ cannot have any evil whispering. But all of us, that shaitan comes into our mind. That is why when we see things and, hatred and malice and anger and all of these things, a lot of it can be some whisperings of shaitan within us that cause this jealousy and this malice and this attitude and so forth and so on. Now, they do have a lot of power. Better believe it. They do have a lot of power. And one of the prophets that had a lot of control over jinn was who?
Sulaiman.
Prophet Sulaiman. Oh, they used to be scared of him. They used to be so scared of Prophet Sulaiman. And he was able to communicate with them, communicate with the creature, the answer. So the Naml tells you about his communication with the ant and so forth, and he heard their conversation. Allah has given him this tremendous power. Prophet ﷺ had some of those powers of Prophet Sulaiman, but remember, he is the Rahmatul lil Alameen. He is bigger than just communicating with jinns and creatures. So one of those examples Allah has given us in the Quran, that Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, he hears from the hudhud, from the bird, that there is this Queen of Sheba in Yemen, that has this humongous throne. This throne was like everything. And those jewelry and the thrones that are of today are nothing compared to what they had in their times. And so he sits every day, he would have his audience from jinn and mankind and so forth. Sometimes he gathers a yearly gathering with all the creatures and give them some da'wah. But in that sitting, he said, oh, the hudhud came with the news that this lady, Bilqis, has this humongous throne, but they worship the sun instead of worshiping Allah subhanahu. So he said, who can bring me her humongous throne? Okay, so Allah tells us in the Quran, قال إفريت من الجن أنا آتيك به قبل أن تقوم من مقامك. Ifrit, who was a very powerful jinn, stood up and said, oh, Prophet Sulaiman, I can bring you her throne before you get up from your seat to finish your session. وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ لَقَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ, and I am very powerful to do that, and I'm also very honest. I will not trouble anything from this throne. But there was someone else who had better ability, that he said, I can bring it before you look up and look down. And by the time he looked up and looked down, the throne was there. SubhanAllah. Now that is not something that we can figure out other than the fact that it's there. Allah tells us about it and we believe exactly what has been mentioned. You know, when you see that, a lot of it, these movies have taken, I'm sure they read the Quran and they might have gotten a lot of ideas how to do things, you know, and so forth. So Ifrit was powerful enough to bring the throne, so they can do physical things, okay? They can literally lift the throne from Yemen and bring it to Baitul Maqdis, which is a far journey, by the time he got up from his morning session, which was maybe an hour or two. So they can do that. They have the ability to do that. And this is one jinn, Ifrit. This is one jinn who is saying that. Like us human beings, they also have food. And they have things to eat and drink. Ibn Masud said that the Prophet ﷺ said, someone from among the jinn called me and I went with him and recited Quran for them. So Prophet ﷺ also interacted with the jinn, and he took us and showed us the traces of where they had been, the traces of their fires. And they asked him for food, and he said, you can have every bone on which the name of Allah has been mentioned that comes into your possession as meat, and all the droppings as food for your animals. Okay? So the bones, which is zabiha bones, even the jinn have to eat zabiha. Okay? Today we have a big issue with zabiha, non-zabiha, and so forth. This is not the section. So nobody ever
Don't be
questioned me.
confused here.
Sattar bhai.
So, and the droppings from the animals, our animals, will be food for your animals. So we know that they have animals, and the dropping from our, that's why the Prophet ﷺ forbade us from using the dropping of animals as cleaning ourselves. Okay? Because this is the food for the jinn animals. And the Prophet ﷺ said, do not use these for cleaning yourself after relieving, for they are the food and provision of your brothers. So he called them our brothers because they are creation of Allah, they are commanded by Allah, and they are good ones. We'll come to that in a minute. The believing jinn, they eat the bone in which the name of Allah has been mentioned. Well, I know some culture, you chew your bone very much. I come from that culture where the sweetest part of the chicken or the meat is actually the bone, so you chew and chew and chew. And somebody has to remind you here, you're overeating the food of the jinns. Yes. Another hadith, a delegation of jinn from Nasibain came to me, and what a good jinn they are. So this is a good group of jinn came to the Prophet ﷺ, and they asked me for food, and I prayed to Allah for them so that they would not pass any bones or droppings, but they would find food on them. So the bones for themselves, the droppings for animals. The believing jinns, yes. Now, where do they dwell? Okay, the dwelling place of jinns. Jinns live on the earth where we do. They are mostly found in ruins, like a building that is left without any inhabitant, and unclean places like bathroom and dunghill and garbage and graveyard and so forth. Hence the Prophet ﷺ, whenever we are going to the bathroom, we make the dhikr, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal khaba'ith. Okay, that, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you or with you from the evil ones, male and female. So you make that dhikr whenever you go to a bathroom. With regards to their lives and dwelling places, they are like other creatures, they have their own lives. They get married and they produce offspring. That's how they continue from Iblis. Okay, they are a group that, just like us, they can get married. Again, not the same drumming and beating and whatever we have, but they do walima and like, again, they might have some things, but we don't know except that which comes from our source of, which is Quran and Sunnah, not from some cultural or some Hindu or some, all of these other cultures that have tell you about jinns. And because of their offsprings of أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ مِن دُونِي وَهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ بِئْسَ لِلظَّالِمِينَ بَدَلًا. Will you take Iblis and his offsprings, his progeny, as protectors and helpers rather than me, while they are enemies to you. So human being, when they want to take some, do some harmful things, there is a group of people who will seek help in the jinn. وأنه كان رجال من الإنس يعوذون برجال من الجن فزادوهم رهقا. Allah is telling us that people from the man, the human being, take help from those of the jinn, and this increase them in their waywardness and misguidance. All right. Some jinns are Muslims and some are kafir. Now this is essential to know, because a lot of time some persons say they have jinn on them, and they have good jinn on them, and this good jinn tell them, predict things that is going to happen, and sometimes it happens. Those are not the good jinns. Good jinns do not find themselves possessed in other people. They don't find themselves wanting to possess you. But just like hypocrites among human beings, you have hypocrites, they pretend like they have good for you when they are trying to make people believe in you instead of believing in Allah for ghaib, for unseen. So Allah tells us that there are some good jinns and there are Muslim jinns in Surah Al-Jinn. وَأَنَّا مِنَّا الْمُسْلِمُونَ وَمِنَّا الْقَاسِطُونَ فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ تَحَرَّوْا رَشَدًا وَأَمَّا الْقَاسِطُونَ فَكَانُوا لِجَهَنَّمَ حَطَبًا. And some of us are Muslims, that is the jinn is saying, some of us are Muslims. And some of us are qasitun, that is deviate from the right path. And whosoever has embraced Islam, then such has sought the right path. As for the qasitun, they will be firewood for hell. May Allah protect us from that.
Ameen.
So the jinn, among them they are good, they are Muslimun, and they are qasitun. As for those who are good, those who are Muslims, they are on the straight path, and the qasitun, they will become like the chip for, or the wood fuel for fire. In another, they're also of taqwa. They have taqwa. وَأَنَّا مِنَّا الصَّالِحُونَ وَمِنَّا دُونَ ذَلِكَ كُنَّا الطَّرَائِقَ قِدَدًا. There are among us that are righteous, and some on the contrary, we are groups, each having different way, different level of religious commitment. So they sound like very much like human beings in this relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for their reckoning on the day of judgment, the jinn will be called on account on the day of judgment. Mujahid, who was one of the early mufassirin of tafsir, he said, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمَتِ الْجِنَّةُ إِنَّهُمْ لَمُحْضَرُونَ, that he said that they will be called upon when this ayah, he gives tafsir, but the jinns know well that they have indeed to appear before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and brought to account. So he gave the tafsir that the jinns will have accountability with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we know all of these good things and bad things about jinn. How do we come to protect ourselves? So there is this jinn within us who, when fundraising come, for example, you know, one of the minds said, I want to give $5,000. And one of the whispering come, no, you can't give. You have this, you have that. What will your wife say? What will this happen? What is that? And this is a battle. Sometimes there's a battle between your soul. I have to go to masjid and this show is coming up now. Man, I have wanted to see this show so badly. Right? And it fights you. It fights you. So a lot of time this evil and good fights you. It is your iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make yourself move forward toward that which is good. Okay? So because we cannot see them, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he always tells us to seek refuge from the harm of the cursed shaitan. And Surah Falaq, Surah Nas are very powerful surahs to recite. And the dua that he has given to us, وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّ أَنْ يَحْضُرُونَ. This is in Surah Al-Mu'minun, and it's verses 97, 98 as well. It's a dua as well as ayah from the Quran that say, I seek refuge in you, O Allah, from the incitement, from the whisperings of the devil. And I seek refuge in you, my Lord, lest they be present with me. So you ask Allah that don't let them come to affect me when I am doing what I have to do. So sometimes you hear when fundraisers tell you, brothers and sisters, I want all of you to say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim. Don't they say that? So get out the shaitan from this room, because they want you to only think about that. And then you say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan. But in fact, that is one of the ways of also seeking protection, even by simple saying Bismillah. Bismillah is very powerful. Sometimes we underestimate the power of simple afkar that we ought to know and teach our children, like entering the home, while eating, while drinking. Just say Bismillah. It prevents, somehow Bismillah is like that password that they do not have access to come in, to share with our food or to share the night in our home. But when you open the door and you walk in, okay, sometimes they follow you. But when you say Bismillah, just by saying Bismillah and enter your house, they are being prevented. Say Ayatul Kursi, especially if you come like 12, 1 o'clock at night, it is always good to recite something before you enter your house. Even before having relationship with your spouse, you're told to have make a dua to seek protection from shaitan. Eating, drinking, all of these Sharia and the Prophet ﷺ has given us ways and means how to prevent shaitan from participating in whatever we are doing. And there are many stories. I'm sure all of you know stories that people tell you, all kind of things happen, entering and putting on your shoe, taking off your shoe, all of these are things that you can. And again, as covering your aura, it's something that, because they like to see you in this nakedness. This is how they were able to bring shame upon Adam and Eve, may Allah bless them. And today we find it is a nakedness that is all over the society, all over the world. Okay, they want you to leave off and to show yourself to each other, to bring about that shame. General strength in faith and iman. So the more you pray your salah, the more you do your ibadat, recite Quran, the more they tend to keep far away from you. So like these things prevent them from coming. And a lot of people who come and say they have jinn on them or this is happening to them, that many times they don't pray or they don't do things what they're supposed to do properly. Seeking the help of jinn is actually shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So somebody will tell you, I can help you, I have a jinn with me, and he tells me so and so has done this to you. You go to your doctor, the doctor can't find anything on you. They say you have to seek outside. There's nothing we can do. Something else is going on with you. And you are painful. You have to go on the outside. When you go on the outside, you meet some jadoo guy, and he has some devil on him, that has some power. And people talk a lot of good things. Oh man, if you go in. And sometimes people commit shirk in the process, because this is what the whole idea, they want you to commit shirk. It's the whole idea of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the day of judgment, they will deny everything that they want you to do this, and Shaitan will say, look, I did not control you. I whispered to you, you follow that whispering. I am innocent from you. I can't help you, you can't help me. Inni akhafullah rabbul alamin. I am afraid of Allah, the Lord of all the world. So some of the things that we see around us and we hear, yes, they do happen. They do come. Can dead people, our relatives, a lot of time people say, oh, I saw like this person haunting in this area or is around this area. He died last week and people see him around. Well, what jinns do, they take the features because they are more flexible. We can't take features of one another unless you do cosmetic surgery. But they don't do that. They can take, again, to create chaos in people's mind, they take the image of a person who dies and start to go and play on people's mind. And fear is one of the things they play on you. Then you think, oh my God, this dead man came back and this dead man is doing all of these things. If dead man has so much power, my dear brothers and sisters are here too, if dead man had that amount of power, no man alive will be here. Because every dead kafir will kill every dead Muslim, every living Muslim. Every Muslim who died, they will go. Can you imagine that you have a president and half of the nation, 3/4 of the nation don't want him? Somebody will die and go and choke him to death. So they don't have that power. But what happens, they use the name of that person. And people are genuinely possessed by this jinn. They come into them, and then when you read Ayatul Kursi and you talk to them, they will say, I am so and so, I came on this person. That so and so died a long time ago, or a week ago, or a month, years ago. I came on that person. You can't come because you are in a different state of existence called Hayat al-Barzakhiyya. You are in your grave, but that jinn use your name. Use your name to come now. And they might tell you some futuristic thing, some of it is correct. Because this is how it is. You know, Allah has given them some information, and with that information, even those who are believers are tested with that information. Okay? So we have to be very careful when all of these things are around us. We know they exist. We know they are a creation of Allah. We know that they are commanded by Allah to do good. We know they are good in them, they are bad in them. We know the bad in them do all kind of mischievous things. And we are being tested all the time. And if our iman is weak, and we hear stories and we don't put it in the proper perspective, how our iman can be shaken. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evil, protect us from the jinn, protect us from his whispering, and help us to overcome that, and let us be true servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking him alone for his help and for his guidance. And so now inshallah, if we will have questions, we'll be more than happy to